Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Salam sejahtera. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to this special event celebrating Malaysia Day. I wish I could be there in person, especially to meet up with my old friend Ramli Ibrahim, Ahmad, Najib, and also for the first time to meet Chandran Nair, someone who has been writing almost in the same manner that I have been also communicating to the public these issues of education, politics, society, religion, and what ails our nation. I see from the organizers today that the theme is about art and culture. And I think it's about high time that Malaysia, that has undergone almost 4 or 5 decades of what is called an education for industry, should now revert or change to be more humanized. And art and cultural education is key to this humanizing aspect. Now, science is important, technology is important, but it only fulfill the physiological and physical aspect of survival of a human being. But art and culture fulfills the other aspect. And if we are lacking in either one, we would make a very poor human being for the world. And certainly we can see the problems that we are facing in Malaysia with mistrust between races, with non-understanding, with unacceptance of cultures. Although we have 40 ethnic groups, we are still uneasy living with one another, simply because our education from kindergarten to the university emphasizes mostly on industry, on technology, on survival. But now, of course, there's an addition of religion, but that doesn't make it better. In fact, in many ways, it has worsened the situation, because the religion that is being taught is a very, very narrow construct. I'm a Muslim. I have no problem with art. I have no problem with other cultures. I have studied visual art history for 2 semesters, and it has enriched me in many, many ways. Now, let us look at what art and culture means actually. For me, art is, on the one hand, another form of communication. The ones that we are used to is using words, but there are many ways of imparting something else, something tangible and something intangible, mostly the intangible parts, the emotion, the experience, the idea of a vision through the medium of sculpture, the medium of painting, the medium of carving, as well as the medium of music. We cannot live without these kinds of expressions and only rely on such things as words. This is a very poor quality of life. It's like living without music. How do you, can you imagine such a thing? Some people say that they could, because music may be haram. I don't know where that's coming from. Well, the other thing is about culture. Culture is also, in one sense, a manifestation of a value system which is integrated with certain belief system, as well as some form of practice. And this result in a certain kind of lifestyle or cultural norm of specific societies. This serves as a kind of structure for that society. Culture is a structure, a form of having meaning to the society. And once we understand that culture, then it becomes a form or a medium of communication to another culture. So we cannot, again, live without the culture that we have inherited from our parents, grandparents, of our race, as well as our belief system, our religion, our faith. And this has become part of us as human beings. Now, when the Bon Odori issue came up, or the Oktoberfest issue came up, as a Muslim, I see there is no problem. Simply that the Bon Odori is a cultural practice of a particular race or particular people. And in understanding that culture or that practice, we can appreciate where these people are coming from. How do they view the environment? What is their values towards the past or towards their ancestors? These are important aspects of human communication. Our universities, our schools, for me, totally fail in this regard. We need to have 40% of all curriculum about art and about culture, and reduce all sorts of survival aspects of economics as well as science and technology into 60% only. At the moment, it's more than like 80 to 90%, with the other 10% religion. Now, I am not against the teaching of religion, but I am against the teaching of religion that encourages distrust between people, that puts suspicion against one another of our peoples. Because I have studied religion all my life. I have studied various religions, and I have studied my own religion through the sources of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not through some ustaz shouting from the pulpit or from the mimbar. I also study religion having the understanding of science, having the understanding of history of societies, having the understanding of culture, having the understanding of art, as opposed to those who claim that they can teach religion or have the authority to instruct religious practices, but are devoid of all knowledge of science or knowledge of culture, knowledge of art, knowledge of international relations, knowledge of history, world history. This is what's happening, and I think after 60 or 70 years of Merdeka, we need to reflect and look at our education. And if the political parties or the so-called government, which is supposed to be us, refuse to change, then we as Malaysians must change ourselves. And this is what I write about. In order to change this country, each and every one of us must change. If you have not learned the culture of the Kadazan, then you should start. If you do not know aspects of the art of the Murut, then let's start. Let's begin with our children. Let's put up our own exhibitions. Let's put up our own cultural show, as we have organized this event, not from a government, so-called government perspective, who will probably never invite people like me or Chandra. But we need to have it as our own. We have to make it our zeal and our political will as citizens of this country to reinstate the position of art and culture by having events outside of the school, outside of the university. It's the easiest way because you don't need anybody's permission for that. But we can also have it in private schools and private universities, because they are not really part of the governmental organizations. If we can penetrate these aspects or these institutions of learning. We also have our religious houses of worship. Islam is another matter because it is part of the government, but we have the church, we have the temples, and the Gurdwaras. And we can move and put up a narrative that religion, art, and culture has no conflict. Now, it may take some time for Islam to have that aspect, because it is not supported by authority, but we can have seminars and we can have discussion about Islam and art. And I'm there to discuss about Islamic architecture. I even have mentioned that there are many mosques which I feel are only Muslim architecture but not Islamic architecture. What do I mean by that? Well, then we will have to have a discussion on that, and I will gladly explain to you what I mean by Islamic architecture and Muslim architecture. And so, in this wonderful occasion of the formation of Malaysia, the joining of three nations, the Tanah Melayu of Sabah and Sarawak, becoming one. And this is supposed to be our Keluarga Malaysia. The Prime Minister has his own version of Keluarga Malaysia, let him. But this is our version. Our version is one of sharing. Our version is one of accepting. Our version is one of needing each other. I had defined Malaysia as a citizen who is proud of his or her own race and faith, but needs others to complete the idea of living together as a nation, socially, spiritually, and economically. We need each other. Very strange to say this nowadays with some people who think that they can only survive with its own race, or who says that they can only survive and they should only survive with their own faith. I don't know who these people are. Do they think they are God? Only God can survive without the help of anybody else, without the need of anyone else. But we are human. As humans, we are in this together, all for one and one for all. And so, with this message of reinstating art and culture as a point of meeting ground or common ground, or a place for us to share our frailties, our weaknesses, as well as to impart and share our strengths and our wisdom with each and every one of us. And together we form not only what Malaysia is, but what global living is, which has been made smaller and smaller now, closer and closer now than ever before. And so, I think the future is about art and culture, taking us back, reminding us back of our humanity and of our need for each other. So with that, thank you very much, and I wish again to be with all of you, but perhaps, inshallah, another time. Thank you very much.